Hi there. We'll leave a few minutes until we know that there's a few more people on, and then we'll get started. We'll give it another minute and then I'll start. Okay. Hello and welcome to today's webinar. It's been set up to run during Scottish Apprenticeship Week to show you how and why apprenticeships can work for your business. So whether you're on and you're new to apprenticeships or you're looking to expand your existing programme, today's session is hopefully going to give you the insight and the practical understanding you need to make informed decisions. So I'm Nicola McCormack. I'm from the Skills for Growth team at SDS, and we support SMEs all across Scotland delivering skills reviews to help support upskilling and business growth. And apprenticeships are often a recommendation we make to businesses, both for recruitment and for upskilling existing staff. The speakers today are going to explore how apprenticeships operate in practice and look at the tangible benefits that they bring to your organisation and to organisations of all sizes. So you'll hopefully gain clarity on funding available, how to access it, the steps involved in recruiting an apprentice or upskilling a current member of staff. And we'll look specifically at how apprenticeships can support SMEs, and that includes the micro SMEs as well, and how they can be tailored to meet the unique needs of small businesses. So throughout the session, we'll focus on the strategic value of apprenticeships and how they can help develop your workforce, how they can improve productivity, build a strong, sustainable talent pipeline, and ensure that your business has the right skills in place to support your organisational needs. And that's both now and in the future. So importantly, apprenticeships are developed by employers for employers, meaning that they're designed to reflect real business needs and industry standards. And by the end of this webinar, you'll hopefully understand not only how apprenticeships work, but how they can work for your business. Just to highlight a few key stats before I pass you over to the speakers. There are around 12,000 employers in Scotland currently employing apprentices. The vast majority of them are small to medium size enterprises, with around half being micro businesses. In my experience, going out to businesses, I work in businesses in Renfrewshire, Inverclyde and Ayrshire, and I speak to modern apprentices all the time. And what I can see is that apprenticeships can be highly effective across all different sectors and for organisations of every size within the SME community. So just can you pass over to this next slide, Ela, thanks. So we're pleased to be joined by two employers today, Lorna Trainer from L&G Learning and Chris Harkins from Harkins and Vickers. And they'll be talking to you about their experience of taking on apprentices in a minute. But first of all, we're going to hear from Vicky Manson, who's the Deputy Head of Policy Scotland from FSB Scotland, and she'll be talking about some recent research they've done with the FSB membership and looking at employer perspectives in terms of challenges, etc., for taking on an apprentice. So I'll just pass over to you, Vicky. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicola. Good morning, everybody, and a warm welcome to everybody coming to the webinar, today in celebration of Scottish Apprenticeship Week 2026. As Nicola said, I'm Vicky Manson. I'm Deputy Head of Policy at Federation of Small Businesses, and we support micro, small and medium-sized businesses across Scotland with a whole host of different challenges and issues that they come across. So today we're going to shine a light on modern apprenticeships and, more importantly, how small businesses across Scotland can make the most of them. As many of you will know, apprenticeships play a crucial role in developing Scotland's future workforce. Despite their value, a lot of them can remain underused by some of the small businesses who would benefit from them most. According to our 2025 Big Small Business Survey, which some of you might have seen, Around a quarter of small firms have experience employing apprentices, but that means there's a significant opportunity for many more to take part. So among those that haven't taken on an apprentice yet, there were two clear reasons that stood out. The first one was around the perceptions of limited financial resources. And the second was the perception that the process of hiring an apprentice is too complex, too lengthy, and too difficult to navigate. So I'm sure some of those reasons might resonate with the people that are attending this today. When we asked businesses to tell us more, and this is some of the comments here that we received through our research, this is what they told us. I'm not going to go through them all as you can see them on the screen, but there are some of the positive points there and some of the concerns as well. So that feedback's led us to where we are today to present in this webinar with Skills Development Scotland. And the purpose of the webinar is to support small businesses who are considering or just maybe sitting on the fence around employing an apprentice. So in the spirit of Scottish Apprenticeship Week, we want to demystify the hiring process and break down the barriers and give small businesses the confidence and clarity you need to take on an apprentice. And whether that's just that you're curious about the practicalities or you're not sure about funding or you just need to know where to start, today should help you to take that first step. So also, as Nicola said, we're very, very fortunate to be joined by two fantastic small businesses. And that's Lorna Trainer, who's Director of L&G Learning, and Chris Harkins, who's Director of Harkins and Vickers. They're going to be sharing their real world experiences of employing apprentices. They've been through the process themselves multiple times and they understand the different challenges and the benefits firsthand. So they're perfectly placed to explain that to us today and share their insights. Their insights are invaluable and we're really delighted to have them with us. So thank you very much again to them for coming. And I hope today leaves you feeling informed and reassured and inspired about what apprenticeships can bring. And it's not just to the young people, but to your business and your community and Scotland's economy. So thank you very much. And I believe I'm passing back to Nicola now, first of all. Oh, I think you're on mute, Nicola.
I can't believe I'm still doing that after all this time. Thanks for that, Vicky. That was really interesting. It's good to hear back from employers about, their perceptions and perspectives of what an apprenticeship entails. So hopefully today is going to give you some fuller information, more information to help you make that choice and that decision. Thanks, Sarah. So just to put things in context, to start with, there's loads of drivers for work-based learning. These are just a few, including climate change, well-being, Industry Point 4 and population growth. So if you start with the economic change that's been happening, global markets and industries are evolving quickly, requiring adaptable and job-ready skills. I'm definitely seeing that, when I'm going out to companies, as I said, a variety of different sectors, but it's happening in all sectors. Automation and technology are becoming more prevalent and embedded in more and more businesses that I'm going to speak to. AI, automation, they're transforming roles, increasing the need for continuous upskilling and real world experience. There's a focus on well-being. There's a really strong focus at the moment on well-being in modern workplaces in terms of prioritising people's mental health, looking at work-life balance, and supportive environments to improve performance and retention. You've also got the climate change and sustainability, which is a big priority for a lot of businesses, and it's shaping economic decisions and creating demand for green skills and sustainable practices. Population growth, demographic shifts, that changing of the workforce needs required flexibility, inclusivity, and employer-aligned training pathways. So in essence, work-based learning ensures that skills are going to stay relevant, it supports adaptability, and it strengthens economic resilience in this rapidly changing sort of economic environment that we're in. So next slide, Ella. So this is just an overview of the Scottish Apprenticeship. We call it a family. It's an apprenticeship family. You have your foundation apprenticeship, modern apprenticeship, and graduate apprenticeship. The foundation apprenticeship is for school pupils, where they can go and they can gain a higher while still at school, attend a college and have some work experience during the week. You've got your foundation apprenticeship at the other end, which can be used both for recruitment, but it can also be used to upskill existing employers where the individual would gain a degree level qualification. But obviously today we're focusing on the modern apprenticeship route. That's the focus for today. But today the frameworks, which we'll briefly look at, there are more and more frameworks in different industry sectors than ever before, and they're based on the skills that employers want, so they're always relevant. At the moment, there's currently over 40,000 people doing an apprenticeship in Scotland. I think that covers the next slide, Ayla. So in terms of modern apprenticeships and how they work, these are just a few sort of bits of information that can give you a clearer understanding of how they work. They're real, they're on the job learning. So your employees, it's earn while you learn. It's a paid employee. They develop skills while also contributing to the business. It's a flexible talent solution for businesses in terms of you've got the option if you're wanting to upskill a member of staff, if you have a position where there's progression involved available, you can actually just use an existing member of staff if you have someone in mind, or you can bring in new talent so you can recruit a new person in. They're delivered in partnership with an approved college and private training provider. And you'll also, as well as that, you would have support from SDS. You've got an SDS advisor supporting you along the way. There's a wide choice of frameworks and qualification levels to suit your needs. So whichever industry you're in, whatever type of job, there's potentially a framework that could support that. And they're also designed with industry, so they're proven adaptable programs that align with business goals. Funding is available, and that can significantly reduce the training costs. So just move the slide on. So just sort of key points, as I said, it's earn while you learn. So you get a contribution towards the training, but effectively it's an employee. Your apprentice is an employee, so you're paying them. You're paying the employee for what they're doing as an apprenticeship. So the sort of rate depends on the role that they're doing, the framework they're doing, and the level they're at. And they can be for new recruits, as I said, or for your workforce. And at the moment, SDS currently has around 200 learning providers, and that can include colleges, private training providers, and as we'll hear from Lorna today from L&G Learning, it also includes employers as well. Modern apprenticeships help build a skilled workforce. It's a job, again, where you earn and learn. There's 80 types ranging from financial services to digital, engineering to health and social care. And as I've mentioned there, we have over 200 learning providers that are involved in supporting the programme. Next slide, Ailey, thanks. These are just a few headlines of the key benefits. You've got, and this has been proven, improved productivity, improved staff morale. We're going back to the bit at the start where I talked about health and well-being, which is key in most modern workplaces, but also quality of service. Retention, it can support retention, which in turn reduces your recruitment costs. It attracts fresh talent and develops the workforce of the future. And if you're looking to potentially recruit school leavers, it's a really good way of getting buy-in from school leavers because they're going for a job where there's accreditation and there's potentially a progression route as well, so they can see the benefits of getting into that particular role. You can also upskill your existing employees if you've got someone in mind and there's roles available where upskilling's needed. This can be an option in terms of putting them on an apprenticeship, and that could be it could be the modern apprenticeship or the graduate apprenticeship. The programmes are flexible and they're also tailored to meet your needs as a business. Next slide, thank you. These are just a few stats here. The latest SDS research, and that's thousands of views from current and former modern apprentices, that just providing the evidence that it can work. In terms of modern apprentices in training, we've got 92% of highly rated the overall quality of the training, and for modern apprentice completers, 15 months afterwards, the completion, 79% of them are still with the same employer, which obviously shows, that that sort of training they've been through, the knowledge and skills they've gained have kept them in the business, either doing the job they're doing or potentially progressing within the business. So we're just going to go back to, I'll hand you back to Vicky now, and we'll get some employer perspectives from Lorna and Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicola. Okay, so first of all, we have got Lorna Trainer, who is the Director of L&G Learning. I won't go into too much detail because I'm sure Lorna will explain what her business is and what they do, but Lorna has got a lot of experience in modern apprenticeships and in the skills landscape in general. So Lorna, I'll pass over to you.
Thank you, Vicky, and thank you all for attending this session today. It's good to see small businesses interested in apprenticeships. So my name is Lorna Trainer. I'm Director of L&G Learning. And a wee presentation this morning is going to be in two parts. The first part is about my own business and how we use and incorporate apprenticeships and graduate apprenticeships and all range of qualifications within our business strategic and operational plans. So it's part of what we do. And the second part is about how we deliver modern apprenticeships. So we both employ and use apprenticeships, but we also deliver apprenticeships within our business. That's what we do. For my own experience, and you've probably found this yourself, I've moved in various sectors. I've started off initially as a social worker. I had to get qualifications for that. Then I moved into further education as a lecturer, ended up as a head of school, had to get teaching qualifications for that as well. I also had to get some additional, what we call professional development awards in assessing, verifying internally and externally. And then I moved in 2006 to set up my own business, L&G Learning. And for that, I got some other qualifications, including a master's in human resource management, so that I could do some consultancy work, deliver management qualifications, and extend what we could do. Since then, I also completed a modern apprenticeship myself in creative and digital media. I realized I wasn't good at that area. I didn't know enough about it. I didn't really fully exploit marketing opportunities. So I took on an apprenticeship. I did it myself. For all of our staff, it's built in. We believe learning and development is crucial to business sustainability and growth and resilience. So that's something that's built into everything. And I include that within all of our staff development, including currently having 2 staff who are completing graduate apprenticeships. One is doing business development and project management, and that's again for succession planning. The other one is doing AI and data science. Forgotten what it's called there. And part of that is to develop AI tools and resources within our business. We face challenges like everybody else. We have, high levels of competition, and we feel as if we, as part of our development, we want to include AI within our portfolios for candidates, using our website better, developing learning programs that use modern technology. And we're already seeing the benefits of that within the 2 programs. So it's absolutely embedded in everything that we do. And I can see that that's making differences on a day-to-day basis. Apprenticeships, I've employed some people as apprentices throughout the process. Taken on youngsters to do, again, creative and digital media, because we wanted to develop some videos for our services for teaching and learning. So we've done that, but this is my current one, is around the graduate apprenticeships. And part of that is upskilling and reskilling. Most of our staff complete some form of qualification, whether it's apprenticeships or not. I'm going to move on now to talk about our experiences working with universities and training providers while delivering apprenticeships. And one of the key for me is that we communicate regularly with them, that we maintain that process of, here's the workplace, here's what we need for this from this qualification, and here's how we can work with you to help deliver that qualification that suits our way of working. A simple example of that is regular mentoring sessions with a younger candidate who was struggling with the qualification. We set up a few meetings to say, this isn't really working, they're getting really stressed about it, what can we do? They weren't aware of that, the candidate hadn't told them. Once they were aware of that, they shifted the delivery model, made the teaching and learning materials much more accessible for that particular learner, and she managed to successfully complete it. It was better for us. She was less stressed, and she managed to complete the qualification and then applied that learning to her practice. So I would definitely say keep in contact with the training provider and work in partnership with them. Tell them what it is that you need from it, and don't be afraid to say that's not working or that does work really well and let's do better. I found that with the graduate apprenticeships as well. There are two universities. One is, I hate to say this, but one is much more in communication with providers than the other. They're not quite as good as modern apprenticeships in terms of the delivery model and the way that it is supported through Skills Development Scotland. For example, in a modern apprenticeship, you have to have 13-week reviews with the employer, the candidate, and the training provider. That sets up a format where there's regular and agreed communication. We don't have that with the graduate apprenticeships, and I think they could probably benefit from that. But nonetheless, it's working really well for us. But communication is key to that. So what modern apprenticeships do we deliver? Currently, we work within the social service sectors, adult and childcare apprenticeships. Now, this is one of the highest areas in apprenticeship is the adult and childcare sectors. So they are used very well. But we do find that in the childcare sector, they tend to use apprenticeships for recruitment. So they will recruit 16 to 19-year-olds, not exclusively, but predominantly they recruit for that age group. We act as a recruitment agency for a lot of the employers. So they come to us and say, we've got a vacancy, we will advertise it, interview, do the initial learning checks, find out their learning needs, do some extra preparation tasks so that they are ready for the apprenticeship. And then they maybe do a wee day work trial. And if the employer is happy, they will take them on. And we continue along that journey. That seems to work very well as a model for the childcare sector. The adult care sector tends to recruit their own people. And in general, they are aged 18 plus. So they tend to come to us to say, here we have a bunch of staff, can you put them through their qualifications? And that's where we start. So it's a different model. What about the delivery model? How do we do that? We have regular fortnightly contact with all of our candidates on a one-to-one basis. That can be remote. Particularly with childcare, they like a training day. So they come in one day a month to the centre and they have a specific training day, and that works really well. In the adult care sector, it tends to be remote, fortnightly contact, and that as a model works well. It means that the candidate has regular feedback, training, and the complete assessment tasks. And it's a cycle of development that tends to work for the duration. We find the 13-week reviews really important, both for the candidate, particularly if they're progressing well, or if they're not progressing as well, what are the barriers? What is it that we can do to support that candidate to complete it? We also hear from employers about they may have a specific learning need. They may say, well, we're being inspected next week or the next month or so. Can you work with the candidate to help them through that? So you need that kind of regular contact to keep it going. For both of them, it tends to work well. This sector is highly regulated, so all staff must complete a qualification, which is perhaps why there's such a high uptake on it. We find if the 16 to 19-year-olds are recruited, there is a higher contribution rate currently paid by Skills Development Scotland. There's a lesser rate paid if you're aged 20 plus. So in terms of contribution, we will have to ask, particularly if it's adult care and they're aged 20 plus, a contribution from employers. So you may be asked that. You may be asked to make a contribution. Depends on the age of the candidate and the framework that you're looking for. We find that most employers are happy to pay this because there is some contribution towards the cost and it reduces it for them. In addition to the subject area, the vocational subject area, apprenticeships build in core skills, including numeracy and ICT. And there's a bit of upskilling for candidates in those two areas as well. They have also introduced meta skills over the past few years, that includes self-management, social intelligence, and innovation. It's not currently assessed, but nonetheless, we bring in discussion, assessment, and some tools to support candidates to be much more aware of what these skills are and how to apply them to their workplace and towards their career development. It's longer term career development that's within there. And in terms of how do we deliver training? We deliver training face-to-face. We use learning tools such as videos, audio recordings. We can generate evidence from audio recordings as well from the candidate, some video recordings as well. And we also observe the candidate in practice. So we observe to make sure that the practice meets the national occupational standards, which is really what modern apprenticeships are. They are a reflection of the occupational standards for that vocational sector. And it is good that employers are very much involved in the design and development of these frameworks. And I don't have anything else to add to that. I would welcome any questions that you have and pass you over to, is it Nicola? Do I pass you back to Nicola?
I think it's me now. I think it's my turn. Thank you so much, Lorna. That was really insightful, and can tell that you've got a lot of experience and knowledge in terms of apprenticeships. So thank you. I think in terms of questions, if I'm right, I'm just double checking. We're going to possibly do those at the end if there is some extra time. So I think now, excuse me, we're going to hand over to Chris Harkins, who is Director at Harkins and Vickers Electrical Solutions. And I will let Chris explain a little bit more about his business and his experience.
Thanks very much, Vicky. So, yeah, I'm Chris Harkins. I'm Director at Harkins and Vickers Electrical Solutions, and I've been in the electrical industry for almost 20 years now. I myself am a product of the Modern Apprenticeship Scheme. I left school in my 5th year and I knocked on countless doors until I was eventually given a chance. That chance came from a small local firm that was just the owner of the business and one other electrician. Because it was such a small business, they needed me to learn quickly, and I was thrown into the deep end in the kind of very best way possible. I got hands-on experience early and I was pushed to develop, and I loved it personally. I'll always be grateful to them because it was an opportunity that shaped my entire career. And fast forward to today, I've been employing apprentices for almost 14 years now. In that time, I've taken on 24 apprentices, and each one of them have completed their qualifications and gone on to build a career in the industry. Now, from an employer's point of view, I want to be clear that taking on apprentices isn't cheap. You know, when you actually account for the wages, college time, supervision, lost productivity while they're learning, and the sheer amount of time you invest in them, it's certainly not cheap. For me, the apprenticeship's a long-term recruitment strategy. And the biggest benefit is the long-term development of your workforce. You're building electricians that your business can rely on in the future, instead of hoping that you can recruit good people later. So yeah, you've got to understand you're building the team for the future. So it's not without its challenges. The biggest challenge isn't the qualification itself. It's obviously finding the right people. All the skills can be taught, but realistically, it's reliability, work ethic, and willingness to learn that are much harder to teach. So we deal with that by being very clear from day one. We set our expectations, and we're honest about what the job actually involves. if you're upfront about that, you tend to attract the right people. We also lean on the pre-apprenticeship programme that SECT, our training body for electrical apprentices, provides, and we make sure that any candidate has either went through that course or has had some electrical experience before we put them through the apprenticeship. The experience is very important because it lets you know that they're actually serious and ready to learn. Another honest opinion is that it doesn't always work out perfectly. Most of the apprentices that we've employed have stayed with us for their full 4 years. However, some have moved on during that time or shortly after then gaining their qualification. And that's just employment. You can't control that. But you know, you're hoping that, but at the end that you're gonna have more guys that, you know, like the way you work and, you know, they're happy to stay with you. So in terms of financial support, there's support available through SDS that helps with the cost of the training. That's actually put through our the kind of training body that looks after electrical apprenticeships, which is SECT. The electrical apprenticeship's fully funded for the college training programme that's delivered over training blocks for 3 years before they sit their trade test in the 4th year. The financial commitment by the employer comes in the form of the apprentice's salary, regardless of whether they're at work or at college, and providing them time to train on site, and providing senior members of your team to supervise them and mentor them. So, like I said, it's a long-term financial commitment that isn't cheap as hiring a qualified electrician. However, in my experience, suitable candidates aren't always available, and year on year, I'm finding it harder to put people into the more senior roles. So, if you want a sustainable business, you need a pipeline of skilled people coming through. You need to speak to SDS and understand the framework and understand the commitment involved, and be realistic about the time you'll need to invest. An apprenticeship, that isn't a quick fix to labour shortages. It's a long-term strategy. I'd also like to add that apprenticeships aren't just for school leavers. That's the usual kind of picture people have in their head, but it's not accurate. We've had people such as university graduates come to us who are looking for a career change. We've had migrants that are looking to convert their existing qualifications to the UK standards. We've had people of all ages and walks of life come to us for their apprenticeship. So the route is flexible and open to more people than what you might realise. We've also had strong results over the years, and it doesn't come by accident. It comes from actually understanding the apprenticeship and investing the time in the apprentices. So we've had one of our recent former apprentices, he was awarded Apprentice of the Year at college. We've got another apprentice at the moment who's been tipped for that same award. We had one of the apprentices, he gained full marks in his final integrated exam, and another apprentice achieved 99%. So, like I said, that doesn't happen by accident. It comes by setting high standards for the apprentices, making sure that they're supported, and you kind of reap the rewards from that, I suppose. So that's all I've got to say on it. I hope you found it helpful, and if you've got any questions for me, then let me know.
Thank you, Chris, so much. It's really interesting to hear from somebody as well who started off as an apprentice and has kind of seen that through, and obviously employed a lot of apprentices along the way as well. So thank you very much for that. I think I'm handing back to Nicola now.
Yeah, thanks, Vicky. Yeah, again, just to reiterate what Vicky said, that was really interesting. Listening to both of you, just hearing about your different perspectives and experiences of having apprentices. And Chris, I agree that it is, it's a long-term sort of development for the workforce. It's like a long-term skills planning solution. Obviously depends on the size of the company. It's not a quick fix, but it's definitely worth the investment in terms of it supporting your business, and it seems to have worked really well for both of yourselves, including the other types of apprenticeships that you've brought on as well. So I'm just going to go over a few practical things with the people that are on the webinar, just to give you that sort of practical understanding, as well as looking at, you know, the sort of other stuff we've talked about. Thanks, Ella. So apprenticeship.scot, that's the website that SDS, it's one of SDS's websites, the one we use for apprenticeships. It's a pretty straightforward website to navigate. There's a lot of really key information for employers on it in terms of, you know, the different frameworks that are available, but also a lot of guidance and advice about the different types of apprenticeships and the different types of frameworks. But in terms of the sort of process that you would be involved in doing, is obviously, first of all, before anything, you need to identify that there's a job role there. And you can explore the apprenticeship.scot to help you with that. It's got the full range of all the different frameworks for modern apprentices on it. And just it's getting that support as well to provide the best framework that's going to look, you know, it's going to be the best fit for the role that you're looking for. We can also, and myself and my team are involved in doing this sometimes when we go out to businesses to do our skills reviews. If you're wanting to look at a number of different roles within your business for the apprenticeship route, we can help you to map out your options. So we can do a mapping exercise around apprenticeships for you as well. As I said, that would be my team, which I've got some contact details. We're a national team, so we've got advisors all over Scotland delivering the skills reviews, so I can share that with you at the end. But it's identifying that framework first of all, and then finding the training provider. There's a lot of information on the apprenticeship website, apprenticeships.scot, to support you with that in terms of the types of questions you ask in order to get the training provider that's going to best fit your needs. And that could be the locality, it could be to do with the way they deliver their support. You know, is it on-site, is it online, is it hybrid? And there's a wide variety, as I'd mentioned, to choose from private training providers to employers that are training providers and local colleges. So it's just finding out the one that best fits your needs. And as I said, you can access the directory of training providers on the website, the apprenticeships.scot website. So we're also, as well, we provide on the website a free recruitment site for modern and graduate apprenticeships. So if you wanted to advertise to promote for an apprentice, you can advertise on the website, and that's free of charge. And that's where, to be honest, that's where a lot of people generally go to look, you know, for apprenticeships, because they know that the vacancies are on there. And it's fairly straightforward to create an account and post the vacancy. As I said, it's free. On the right-hand side, you'll see the training contribution calculator, and I think Lorna touched on it earlier. So it depends on the framework in terms of the type of role. So potentially plumbing could be different from I don't know, hospitality. It also is dependent upon the age of the individual. So whether that's an individual that you're currently employing or a new recruit, it differs. As you can see, if you can see the slide properly, the three age groups are the 16 to 19-year-olds, 20 to 24 and 25 plus. So the contribution that you're given will differ depending on the age, the framework, and also the level at which they're doing the apprenticeship. But it is a fairly straightforward process. This is just an oversight of the apprenticeship.scot website. Just telling you, obviously, it's a cost-effective way to build skills that your business needs for either upskilling or hiring someone new. And it is about skilling, it's about building the skills in your workforce, and that it is a commitment and it's an investment, but it's an investment towards having a skilled workforce that are, you know, that are aligned with the goals of the business, and it can also see that sort of progression route within the business as well. Sorry, Ella, I think I'd forgotten to ask you to move the slide forward. Could you move it forward to the slide 13? So how to get started? You can phone our team. We have a team and we'll share these details with you in 0800 783 6000. And we also, as you can see there, we've got an employer form that you can fill out and that's on the website as well. You can fill out your details and someone will contact you, get back to you to support you. So that could either be by email or phone, so it gives you that option. And if you just move on to the next slide, Ella. As I mentioned, I'm part of a team, a national team, and we support employers throughout the country delivering skills reviews. Apprenticeships come up basically most of the time. It's part of the conversation we have. So as part of our role, we can also have conversations with employers if they are looking for information on apprenticeships. It's a wee bit more complicated than just getting the sort of basic details you need. We would be happy to support you, and you can see this map shows you all the different skills for growth advisors around the country. We'd certainly be happy to support you with that if it was something you wanted to have a conversation with us about. So thank you for attending the webinar. I think, Vicky, are you wanting to have a...
Yeah, I'll just
you want to have a quick input before?
I'll just finish up there. So in terms of questions, I think what we're intending on doing is just circulating some responses after the webinar along with the slides as well, so that'll come out in probably the next day or two. I just want to say thank you very much to everybody for joining us today and for being part of this conversation during Scottish Apprenticeship Week 2026. I know that apprenticeships can feel quite overwhelming for small businesses, and as we've spoke about, the cost and the time involved or not knowing where to start. But we've also heard today about how rewarding and valuable they can be in bringing fresh new ideas, new energy and growth to a business. So a huge thank you to Lorna and to Chris for sharing their experiences so openly. It was really insightful, and without hearing directly from employers, I think it gives it so much more value when we can do that. Your stories show that apprenticeships aren't just for big organisations, and they work really well in small teams too. So hopefully that's inspired some people to consider taking on an apprentice. So I hope we've managed to give you some clearer guidance and practical advice and the confidence to explore taking on a modern apprentice in the future. And as you can see, we've got lots of resources there, or if you need to get in contact with Skills Development Scotland or ourselves at Federation of Small Businesses, please do that and we will signpost you to the appropriate place. So thank you again to everybody for your time and your contribution. And if you do need any other information, please get in touch. Thank you.